I hope to encourage you and to give you processes and steps and things to look forward to and to breathe life back into you through this episode, but also through this show. And so that way you are just too equipped to quit, and there's no quitting. And this is a part, kind of ties into this episode, which is titled Clues to Tell If You Are Wasting Your Life. And we don't want to waste anything that God has given us and blessed us with, and definitely want to be good stewards of our time, our talents, our skills, our resources. And so when you hear the word wasting your life, that to me is just, should hopefully kind of provoke a little angst in you and shock and get your attention, because that life is a resource and we want to make sure that we use it the best that we can. And so that's what I hope to do in this episode. I am Amber Castillo-Wilson. If we haven't met before, I am your show host here, as well as the founder of upscaleforlife.com, and where I help mentor Christian women with unhealthy habits so they can regain their energy, their strength, and that they can live happy and into their divine purpose that God has created for them. So to start with, I'd like to just go through briefly what these clues are, and if they are signaling to you, maybe you can identify with one of them or three of them, or maybe all eight. Hopefully not all eight, but if that is the case, then that's okay, because at least it's getting your attention and perhaps provoking some kind of motivation at the end of this episode to where you can move forward and know that you can do something about it, so you're not wasting your life. And so everything comes down to a choice. He gives us choices, and so it's just a matter of us choosing, left or right, or this or that, and to move forward into that. So to start off with, I understand when we're dealing with life, if you're a mom or if you're a grandma, or say that you still have kids at home. I understand the mom life. Trust me, I have 3 boys, and I remember the young toddler stage, the baby stage. They're teenagers now. Well, almost. I have my youngest right now is 11, going on 12, and the oldest is 17. So I definitely understand various stages, and that there are part of our chapter and our seasons of life that take place and have a purpose. And so sometimes we kind of feel maybe stagnant, or that we're not doing anything in life, and so we kind of feel like we're wasting life. And so this may be the stage that you're in. If you're at home and you're taking care of children and you're not working outside of the home, then you may feel like, okay, well, I'm just wasting life. All I'm doing is just, changing diapers or making dinner or doing laundry or dishes. And so you feel maybe that, life is passing you by, or you perhaps are an entrepreneur and you have business and you feel like, man, I'm just not taking advantage of this day or this time. And so you feel like it's just wasting, or maybe God is breathing and birthing in you a business to do, and you're afraid to move forward in this particular calling or business aspect that has been brewing. And so you may be feeling that you are wasting this potential to produce something. So, we do get busy with aspects of our life, and be reminded that being busy doesn't necessarily equate to being productive. And I am also speaking to myself when I am sharing this information with you, because I hold various aspects of what I'm sharing as far as being a mom, being an entrepreneur, being a wife, what have you. And so there are a lot of spinning plates that we have to do, right? And we have to keep them all spinning at the same time, and none of them can drop and fall and break. So it looks like we're busy, we're always doing something, but are we being productive, or are we wasting what's been given? And so we don't want to make it to where we're, kind of stumbling around this whole mountain thing, which should have taken a certain amount of time, but then yet we're fast forward and all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, okay, I am wasting my time. But God can make up that time for you if you feel like you have been passing around the mountain and now it's 40 years, fast forward. So like I said, everything has its seasons and its chapters, and it's a matter of knowing what your role is and what that purpose is in your particular season for your life, and to hopefully recognize that you're not wasting it if that is where God is intending for you to be, is at home raising your children and giving them attention and nurturing them and helping building them into healthy human beings, and perhaps sharing, what being a good role model and what that looks like for you. So if you're feeling stagnant in the home and you feel that you're like, oh my gosh, is the season ever going to end? It will. It's not forever. But just note and to have that awareness that to be okay in that season. And so, like I said, because God can kind of fast forward certain areas of time where you feel like you've gained momentum or gained time, which would have taken, you think should take years, but now it's taking maybe months or a year or a reduced amount of time. So quickly, I'm going to go through these 8 points or clues, and then a couple of them I'm going to unpack and give some more examples or relate to verse or what have you. But number 1 is, are you feeling maybe a little too comfortable where you're at? Or number 2, you've settled. And again, I'll go through into more detail what these look like. Number 3, who or what is your BFF? Meaning, where are you spending your time? Excuse me, or who with? Number 4, you make excuses. Number 5, holding on to the past. Ooh, that's a good one. Number 6, you stopped dreaming. I'm definitely going to unpack that one for you. You've stopped learning. And number 8, you don't believe in yourself or God. And so let's go ahead and just at the top, go back up again to you're comfortable. And again, don't want to confuse that being busy equates to being or having being productive. And so don't also confuse it with the content with being lazy. And so sometimes we just get too comfortable because we don't want to step out into something new or different, because there may be some fear involved of the unknown if we step out. And so we tend to stay comfortable in a certain zone or a certain level of achievement or a certain comfort of, it can look different for everybody in different circumstances. And so one example is that I work for a women's home volunteer here locally in San Diego. And so the purpose of this home is for a transition home. And it's not for women and for their children. And the purpose is for the women to use this ministry and that transition home as a launch pad or as a purpose to get out of systems that they are perhaps kind of stuck in. If they're coming off of abusing a drug, or they're coming out of being incarcerated, and to utilize that facility as a launch pad for them to be out on their own, not to go from program to program to program. However, sometimes some of the participants get a little too comfortable there, and they start losing the focus of why they're there, and so they get comfortable in what's being provided, and so instead of moving forward in what their goals were maybe at the beginning, that they have gotten too complacent, and so things start slipping. And so we just want to be careful about being too comfortable in certain areas, because when you have God as your CEO, or you're moving and shaking with Him, you're going to be pushed into some definitely uncomfortable areas and zones of life, and but to be assured that He is there with you every step of the way. And so I understand being comfortable in staying in a particular area of life. So number 2, you've settled. And so maybe this looks like for you, you've just settled and it's at a job and you're miserable there. And so you're, when life is passing you because you're just kind of comfortable maybe because it's a guaranteed check, your hours, the processes and the plan, but you've just settled and like, okay, well, this is all I can do and achieve. And the thing is, when we're speaking on life may be passing and wasting, that you're missing what your heart's passion is, because God has embedded in us a plan and a purpose. And if we're just settling for something that's miserable, then it can't move you beyond that. And so we're not just wasting your time there, but you're wasting your gifts and your talents. As I was speaking at the beginning, that looks like various resources, right, that He's giving to us that we could be wasting. And so we're not only just settling for being complacent there, but we're also settling mentally, we're settling physically, we're settling emotionally, thinking, okay, well, this is all life has for me, and you're now at a hopeless kind of feeling, or you're feeling overwhelmed, like, man, my coworkers are passing me by, or other friends or family are, going to the next level, or what have you. But also, maybe you've settled with being stuck in pain and thinking that, because I like to try and tie in our physical being and our mental and emotional well-being, being that I'm in that realm of helping women get unstuck. But maybe you're hopeless and are settling for, okay, well, this is my diagnosis, and I am what the doctor has labeled me as. And so now you're feeling stuck with that label, and now you're hopeless, and you're just settling for what the doctor has provided for you as far as treatment, or as far as a diagnosis, or what have you, when there are possibilities to expand and look that there is hope beyond that. It's just a matter of finding perhaps a different physician or a different modality to help with your health. And so which when you're stuck with that pain or that unhealthy habit, then there may be a sense of unhappiness, or you're like I said, you're stuck, and so you feel like nothing is going to change. But keep in mind that you are in control of your ship, in the sense that you can make choices. So keep that in mind, that you don't have to settle. And so I encourage you not to settle, and to find someone that can help you or will help you. And you can start by just even speaking with someone about your problem, and seeing if, someone that you trust, of course, with your personal information, and seeing if they have a resource for you. Or obviously the internet has some resources too, and to just go through and see what you are comfortable in doing. But I encourage you to seek Him first, and to go use Him as your alternative. He should be your initial therapy, right, is to seek God and His wellness for you and healing. Going on to number 3 is, who or what is your BFF? And so BFF is your best friend forever, in case you're not familiar with that acronym. But does it look like you're just so attached to your phone, your computer, an electronic of some sort, a game, or where is it that you are spending your time, or with whom to also bring into the picture here? And so are you wasting time, not really having a schedule out for yourself for the day or for the week? I know I can share that I speak to myself also, and remind myself too that, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, there really isn't a schedule, because it's just like, okay, you get up when the kids get up, or it could be 6, it could be 7:30, and that's when your day starts. And so as the kids get older, which I have found that, and especially being a business entrepreneur, that I need to have a schedule. I need to have a time, and that I didn't want to waste and have that time just melted into laying in bed all day. And so you want to be aware of that. And if you are keeping a schedule, don't know how to keep a schedule, then this is something that I help my clients through, into looking at their ideal week and look at a map for themselves to execute for their month, and to get them the momentum and the ball starting. Because when you're integrating new habits, it takes a little bit of time. There's some uneasiness that happens. You remember that whole comfort zone that I was speaking of clue number 1? This is where you get moved out of that comfort zone, which I help you do if you decide to partner with me and become a client, moving into different areas where you may not be familiar with how to do, or maybe just kind of hesitant and reluctant to do for yourself, and creating that schedule or that time and that space so you're not wasting it on electronic games, or scrolling through different platforms for social media and what have you, because that gobbles up time. Trust me, I know. Like I said, I'm speaking to myself here to kind of catch myself and hold on, what was my purpose for being here and doing this? Being an entrepreneur and utilizing social media as a form of marketing, you can get distracted very easily when you're using that. So you have to go in with a plan and with a purpose, and stay focused on that. And otherwise, you can definitely get derailed. Same with your health too. If you are noticing that you're spending a lot of time idling, and you could be using that time for your personal health care and increasing that journey to health, and uncovering and overcoming unhealthy toxic habits, you could be using that time that you're scrolling, and perhaps doing it to go for a walk or something to that nature. And so being aware of that clue there. Clue number 4, you make excuses. Now this is one of my favorites, because I learned with my middle son that there was a program that I brought him to, and it not only taught him different skills and awarenesses and stuff, but it also helped me and with him, and with some learning issues and whatnot. And the part is just being accountable for yourself, and being accountable for what you're saying, what you're doing. Are we looking and putting the blame on other things, instead of putting the spotlight, like what I use as the example, and what I learned from this program that I took my son to, is putting the spotlight back on yourself. And it's very uncomfortable when we have the truth exposed. We have the example of the scripture, Ephesians 5:13 and John 3:21. But the first one says, but everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light. So that was Ephesians 5:13. And John 3:21 says, but whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that what have been done has been done in the sight of God. And so it's just a matter of putting the spotlight back on ourselves, and not having excuses. And just, if you mess up or something happens, then just be accountable for what happened or what you did, and just have that truth be exposed. And if you need to ask forgiveness or what have you, then go ahead and seek that. But it's just a matter of, are you making excuses? And excuses can be because we're scared too. Maybe we're afraid to move out into that uncomfortable zone and to venture on to something that God is calling us to. So I definitely can understand that aspect. Clue number 5, holding on to the past. So this is a good one because of, our past can bear a lot in our present experiences in life and what have you, but also can keep us from moving forward in what God has planned for us. And so it's a matter of God has planned everything for you ahead of time, before you were even born. And so it's just a matter of, coming to a point and recognizing that, your past had its place and its season and its chapter in your life. And you can reflect back on it to see where God had you and what he's brought you through. But don't go back to the past to where it's holding you back. And so that's where, again, some fear can be coming up and can keep you from pursuing your destiny. And so, when you identify what your purpose is in life, this is something that you definitely have to work through because, speaking from personal experience and having to feel like, success, fear of failure and overcoming that. And so this is something that, sometimes likes to rear its head. And so I have to remind myself, okay, that particular incident in my past, it happened and I can overcome it, but I'm not going to let it hold me to not moving forward in what God has called me to. And so we want to be aware of that. And so I think that Philippians 3:13 is a good reminder of this. And it says, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. So when you understand what your purpose is in life and you have that emotional connection of why you started something, especially if it's a business or what have you, or a family, then it helps pull you forward to that destiny and that purpose, and you just keep straining forward to the goal line. Number 6 is that you stopped dreaming. So definitely, if you were a child that had a big dreaming type of visions, or you had dreams that seem very elaborate or what have you, and then all of a sudden adulthood came and they stopped, then this could be something where it just, you feel stalled or waste of life. But so I encourage you to refuel and blow life back into those dreams again, and to recall one. So I encourage you to recall what one of those dreams were as a child or a young adult, and to rehash that. And so if you need help with that, again, this is something that I bring my clients through, is a process called To Dream Again. And it's to refuel what that looks like and to get you excited again, because like I said, God has embedded us with his plan and purpose, and it's a matter of refueling and breathing life back into that again. And so I see these two scriptures as a reminder that sometimes we need to have, there's different variations of dream boards or vision boards. And so it's an exercise that you can do. Maybe you've already participated in one, but if you have something that's set before you, it's a reminder and a trigger for your brain and your mind to be like, okay, yes, this is the dream or the goal or the vision. When you have a particular dream board or vision board established before you, and this can look, there can be digital ones, or there can be the ones that you traditionally cut out of magazines and paste and put on, cardboard or whatnot, poster board, and set it before you. And so, I believe that God was giving Abraham the kind of same vision board, if you will, as what is here in this scripture here, which is Genesis 15:5, which says, God took him outside and said, look up at the sky and count the stars. If you indeed can count them, then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. So idea here with this scripture is that God is giving him, hey, this is something that he can look at. There's stars, and it's like his vision board, if you will, that something that he can look at and have an idea of what it looks like or to strive for. And God's saying, hey, this is an example of what I have for you. Are you going to move into it? Are you going to move forward to what I have established for you? Another example of that is Genesis 22:17. This says, I will surely bless you and make you descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. So again, he's given him something visual that he can take with him, or that is set in front of him daily, whether it be at night and seeing the stars in the sky, or during the day where he can see the granules of sand as his vision board. The last two, number 7 is stop learning, and this is something that I feel should never, ever stop. And I take personal development and have taken personal development seriously, and it also part of helping you identify your identity, and this also helps cultivate that aspect of what you have been designed and purposed for. So when you understand who you are in Christ, then this is part of the personal development that helps move you forward and recultivates those passions inside of you as well. So don't think that you know everything, or there's everything to be known under the sun and about you, because I'm constantly learning more about myself as well as God as well. And lastly is number 8, you don't believe in yourself or God. So I caution this because we are very self-centered, and we think that we have to make things happen in order for them to be successful, whereas if we look to a God-centered living, then we can be successful through him and in him. And so don't feel that you always have to be right, and that your time and your life can be successful and have belief in him to be able to use you. And so I encourage you to not think that what you have done so far is not successful or a waste of time or what have you, because he can use it, is what I'm getting at. So I like this verse in particular, and I'll leave you with this, and it's Proverbs 3:5, which is, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So this concludes this episode. I hope it's blessed you. Wellness and blessings. Bye for now.